the program. I will start off with a little introductory presentations about what universities of applied sciences actually are, and a little background and contextual information, and then I will yield the word to the Technische Hochschule Lübeck, to the University of Applied Sciences in Lübeck, followed by the Hochschule Karlsruhe, the University of Applied Sciences in Karlsruhe. And then we have around 20 minutes or more, if you want, for an FAQ session. We will strive to answer your questions in English, but you may also ask questions, especially in the chat window with the chat function that you find on the bottom right corner of your window. You can also address those questions in Korean, in Chinese, and in Japanese, and we will strive to answer your questions in those 4 languages. All right, okay. So I will start with this introductory presentation that I have talked about, and let's see if it comes up. Right, so fly high in the land of ideas. Study technical subjects at German universities of applied sciences. Yeah, before we start, I would like to name 4 good reasons to study in Germany, because of course that is a question that you're interested in. Why should I study in Germany and not somewhere else? Well, there is an excellent employment situation in Germany. The academic unemployment has been around 3% for years on end, and it's a very stable trend. So it's very true and correct to say that we're dealing here with a very good employment situation after studying, especially when it comes to academics. We have a strong international focus, around 11% of international students. We have a diverse range of study opportunities, more than 20,000 study programs to choose from, of which are around 2,000 in English or in another language apart from German. We have excellence in research and instruction, and a close link between theory and practice. And these are actually 5 good reasons to study in Germany, 4 + 1 good reasons to choose that country. I would like to give you a brief overview, very brief overview of the German university system, because you might be asking, what is this, the University of Applied Science, or the universities of applied sciences we're talking about? Very brief glimpse at the history of the German universities system. Wilhelm von Humboldt and his vision of education, the unity and freedom of research and instruction. What it basically means is that we have a research and teaching community, and from a very early age on in your studies, you are encouraged to write your own papers, to be part of the community which is engaged in research. The professors, they're engaged in research, but they're also engaged in teaching, of course, enlarging the vision and the knowledge and the competence of everyone in that academic community. And this is meant by unity of research and instruction, and of course, the freedom of research is a constitutional right in Germany. We have a rich diversity of institutions and programs. I have already talked about it. More than 400 institutions of higher education, with old universities, with young universities, and universities of applied sciences. And we have more than 20,000 study courses in the system. And there are various institutions that you can choose from, 423 institutions in total, universities, technical universities, and then those universities of applied sciences I've talked about. And I will also touch briefly on the difference between public and private institutions. Universities, of course, 108 in number. They focus on methodical and methodological and theoretical knowledge. Students may choose courses of interests. There is a research-based final thesis and a wide range of subjects and the usual degrees to graduate with. And universities of applied sciences, they're a little different. There are actually more universities of applied sciences than universities. Both are proper institutions in the system. They both are proper higher education institutions within the German system. And the universities of applied sciences, they are more hands-on. They are more praxis-oriented with close connection to the professional world. A lot of the academic staff, or actually all of the academic staff, they have sound professional experience, so they know what is going on in the subjects they teach. And in the industry, we are very happy that we also have representatives from the field, of course, who will tell you more about it. We often have fixed course groups, and the final thesis is rather praxis-oriented, but there has been a certain mingling, you can say. The universities of applied sciences, they are more and more going into research also. Typical subjects are engineering, business administration, social sciences, and design. And again, the usual degrees, bachelor's, master's, and increasingly PhD at the universities of applied sciences themselves or by transfer to universities. Then quick rush into the, or quick glimpse at the difference between public and private universities in Germany. Most universities in Germany are public, but especially in the group of the universities of applied sciences, we have also non-state institutions which are characterized by small study groups, often very closely linked to the economy, also very often with a strong international orientation, sometimes with high tuition fees, sometimes not. And we also have those 39 church-run institutions. International programs, I've already hinted at that. We have around 2,000 international programs out of the 20,000 programs. Those international programs are mostly taught in English. They come with internationally recognized degrees, which the German degrees are also most of the time. And they also offer intensive academic advising. And a very important link here, studyingermany.de, that tells you everything, the one-stop gateway for everything you need to know for studying in Germany. And all the things I've been talking about here, you will find that on our one-stop gateway, studyingermany.de too, with a database with all the courses, with blogs, with information on cities and on practical aspects and so on and so forth. Very useful. Scholarships that the DAAD offers and other organizations too. I will only touch upon this very briefly. You will find a great database on funding-guide.de if you want to study at the various types of institutions and of course especially at the universities of applied sciences also. Very brief, and my last aspect here, job and career after studying. Not everyone knows that the rules for finding a job after graduation in Germany have been greatly relaxed. Even from non-EU countries, you have 18 months after graduation for looking for and finding an employment. And the rule that there has to be a German or an EU citizen who is given preference, this has been abolished long ago. So you have those 18 months to find a job. And while you're looking for that job, you can work limitlessly. And another third very useful website, makeitingermany.com, tells you everything about job perspectives, working permits, and everything you need to know if you would like to do something in industry or in the professional world after your graduation. Okay, that's it from me. I think now I will stop my little presentation and I yield the floor to the Technische Hochschule Lübeck, University of Applied Sciences in Lübeck, and they tell you how their institution is and what their focus is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bergmeier. Thank you very much, DAAD, for organizing this event. And yeah, welcome to all the participants. Really glad to meet you and really happy that we can present a bit from a German perspective. And to do so, my colleague, Nicola Gressner, will support me from the international office. But I would like to start first, before we share our slides, by sharing you a view that I can enjoy currently. So this is study life in Germany. So we are back to teaching in presence in Germany, and you can see, hopefully you can see young people everywhere on this campus. Yeah, and that's our offer to you, that we would like to share with you the experience of studying in Germany. And with that, I would get into our presentation that we have prepared for today. And yes, I hope you can see it now. Come up now. And I would like, as I already said, I would like to hand over for the first slides to Nicola Gressner, please. And Nicola, just say me if I should skip to the next slide, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. Also, a warm welcome from my side. Thank you to Lars Bergmeier giving us this wonderful opportunity to introduce our university to you, and thank you to Frank Kemper, to my dear colleague. My name is Nicola Gressner, working in the international office, and within the international office we have a little task force. It's called China Coordination Unit. We are 3 persons and we take especially care of the big amount of Chinese students here at our university. And why it is like this, and some more information about our international programs will be given to you by Frank Kemper. And perhaps we start now with our slides. Frank, would you mind to give me the next slide? So this is already a beautiful picture of our graduation party. You will find out that, well, Lübeck is a very beautiful place, and in the middle of the old town we have a former church, which is now a place for any kinds of university events and activities. And this is the place where we normally have our graduation party. This is also a slide from our university. Welcome to Technische Hochschule Lübeck. The next page, please, Frank. Oops.
Sorry, it's somehow jumping.
Okay. This is wonderful. This is exactly the picture I was looking for, because Lübeck is a very beautiful old town. We are located in the northern part of Germany, so the next frontier above in the north is Denmark already. And the next biggest city is Hamburg. Hamburg is the second big city in Germany. Lübeck itself is a small city, I have to say, but it's very nicely located in the northern part at the Baltic Sea. So you have already a picture of the beach in Travemünde. You can take the bus, and from the university, and within 30 minutes you are on the beach. So this is something you should not forget. It's very convenient, especially in summer, of course. As I told you, Lübeck is quite small. Okay. And okay,
Sorry.
I already said everything. Yes. Okay. So the next slide would be fine, Frank. Sorry. Just to give you an idea, our university is one of the oldest of the University of Applied Sciences. We have around 5,200 students, and among that, around 600 international students. We have a big variety of laboratories where it's possible for you to do practical work during your studies, and we have also good external fundings, which is quite important. The aspect of doing a bachelor thesis or master thesis within companies, more information about this will be supplied by Mr. Kemper. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nicola. And yeah, I would like to proceed and introduce what we are doing. Yeah, we are a university, so mainly we are educating young people. And in Germany, universities, they are very much connected to the economy, to the industry. And that's what I would like to present you today also a bit. But at the beginning, just a very brief overview about our departments. So there are different fields that we are offering, a lot of study programs. I will not go into these details because that would take too much time, but everything is covered into the slide set. So it's fine to share that afterwards for those who want to see a bit more in detail what study courses are offered. So all in all, we've got 22 bachelor degree courses, 15 master degree courses, some international programs offered in English language together with the USA or with China. And we are looking forward for further collaborations, of course. Yeah, this is what I would like to skip now. So the different 4 departments, as I said, that will be then in the slide set that can be shared. You can see the each study program. You can see what kind of international courses we do offer there. So that's what I will do quickly now, because I would like to present more a bit with respect to the understanding, how we see education and engineering. So today I'm just talking about engineering, because that's from my perspective what the technical university in Lübeck is especially famous for. So the connection between science and economy, that's what I would like to point out a bit more. It was already addressed in the introduction from Mr. Bergmeier. Let me go a bit more into detail to offer you a bit more to understand why it is like that and why do we have this tradition. So if we compare both parts here, science and economy, we can see, because there are different processes, different needs on the part of the economy side, and it's the same organization structure and the part on the university. Of course, we need infrastructure and employees as well, but then there is a part where we have interaction. So the outcome, what we produce at the universities are experts and graduates in different fields, processes, products, methods, and that's what the industry needs. And on the other hand, we also can gain our new ideas by the collaboration with the industry. So we have this link, and this link, yeah, in the beginning it was already raised the question, what's the difference between universities for applied sciences and the what I call them research universities? Actually, there is no big difference, because the connection to the economy, to the industry, we have that in both parts of the university system in Germany. So what do I want to do to share with you? So a look at the German economy, because from my perspective, that's one key to understand how the university system has developed in Germany. The research funding, very briefly, where do we find our support for research work? Then a bit more to the comparison between University of Applied Sciences and research universities, studental internships, and very brief, an example of our international collaboration, just to give you an idea about how we are acting worldwide. So the economic composition of Germany. Germany is a country with a lot of service, but especially with a lot of industry in the GDP. And the top 10 exports you can see here on the right side. So vehicles, of course, car brands, very famous, but this is connected with a lot of other fields of engineering as well. And that's what our engineering education is based on a lot. So we focus on these main industrial parts. So we have got a high demand for engineers in Germany, and we've got a lot of experience in educating engineers, because the companies that we have in Germany, world brands, they also have demands, and they give us their demands so that we can improve the engineering education there. So some large companies, I think the brands are well known, more or less, but it's important to know, and that's what I would like to address. The German industry, the German economy also consists a lot of small and medium companies. In Germany, we call that Mittelstand. So 99% of all the companies in Germany, they belong to this Mittelstand. And those companies, they do not normally have large research facilities, but they can make use of the research facilities of the universities. And that's where the interaction comes into the game. So if they need support for a special product, they can address the universities, and then a collaboration project can start, and that's beneficial for both sides. Sorry for this noise coming up now. I hope that stops in a while. So we've got this special composition in Germany, and that's what already, as I already said, our economy and the education system special. It's a bit similar with respect to the research funding. So we've got governmental funding, like in every country worldwide, but we have a lot of funding out of the business and enterprise sector. That's Mittelstandsförderung. So there is research funding out of the companies to bring together companies and the universities. So all this research money is pushed into the education and research system. So there is public research at universities, and of course there is internal research at companies on different levels. And we can distinguish the type of research between basic research and research for application, so more hands-on and more related to specific products. And that's also where the different parts or the different types of universities can be addressed a bit more. So we've got universities in general, and research or technical universities on the one hand, and the universities of applied sciences on the other hand. And I would like to present a bit more what are the differences. It was already addressed, but let me add some more topics. So the research universities, they are more focused on theoretical inputs, and the methodology is then interdisciplinary work. They hire professors with higher research ranking. That means paper publishing, more basis with theoretical modules, deeper theory. And the universities of applied sciences, they have a higher focus on application. That means, for example, internships, sending students into companies. Professors, they have work experiences. We have heard that before. So they have a network to the industry. It's more related to practical examples and laboratory exercises. But you can see here on the left side, the system is quite fluent. Yeah, so it's not a straight line which distinguishes the system in two parts. There is research for application also at research universities, and there is basic and deeper theoretic research also at universities for applied sciences. So in Germany, those borders, they are vanishing more and more from my perspective. And that's especially true for the education and engineering. So what is special about the German universities of applied sciences? For example, students are involved in projects already during their study time. Classes are smaller, education is more seminar-like, more interaction, more practical examples, and more connection directly to industry and potential employees. So we've got two universities, let's say, with different focuses, but they have the same legal position and the degrees, they are also the same. So if first a bachelor study program is done at the University of Applied Sciences, later on it is possible to switch over to a research university. Yeah, how do we do it? How do we teach? Here is a picture from our partner university in Hangzhou in China. So I call this interactive class because we really want to be in contact with the students. We want to discuss, and we really want them to understand. That's something what's really important from a German engineering perspective, from my point of view. We prefer to do it step by step, starting at the basics, at the fundamentals, and then go step by step further and allow everybody to understand. And that's why we still make use from handwriting, for example, because then we do not miss to explain, because then the professors, they are thinking themselves while they are writing. And from our perspective, that is something where the students are really able to follow step by step. And if there are questions, they can directly be addressed. So from me, that's a big advantage compared to just PPTs, for example, because then you cannot do it in such an interactive way. Another aspect is studental internships. So what's the advantage of that? So for us, that means students are involved in companies already during their study time. And the advantage for the students is they really learn self-orientation. Is this the field where I would like to work in the future? I can already see what it will look like if I'm employed at such a company. Do I need to modify something so that I really can fit it perfectly according to my needs and my expertises? I can learn the transfer from theory to practice so that I can see that it's really reasonable what I have learned at the university. So a lot of advantages from our side. For the industry as well, they get to know possible new employees, and they get new impulses by modern methods. They are connected to the university by this linkage of the young talents. And for the university as well, we are reflecting what we are doing. We can involve new aspects in our research, and we can enrich our network. So that's why we see this is really beneficial for all three parts, 3 winners, no losers. Yeah, and that really means one semester during the study program, the students go to a company, work on project base, really hands-on, and then they come back to the university, then they can finish their thesis work. This can be related to the internship, so that they are really ready to work if they have made their thesis. Yeah, my last slides, just to give you an insight about our international engagement. For example, in China, we try to implement this type of education of the universities of applied sciences, because the Chinese industry as well has a lot of needs for practical education with respect to the students already know where to apply theory. Yeah, for that we have funded a collaborative institute here 2014 already. This is running with more and more outcome, I would say. And we also have involved companies there. Here, for example, you can see that there was a forum where we have met with Chinese companies and to exchange and to establish somehow this important part of the education, the involvement of the companies. Yeah, and as I have tried to explain, we have the tradition with this close linkage to the economy in Germany. And this also means if the students go there for an internship, the companies, they also have a kind of responsibility for the education. And they take this responsibility because they also want to hire these young talents. Yeah, and that's something that needed to be established first in China, because normally the Chinese companies expected that students are just supporting somehow, but it was not that deep involvement. And that's what we try to implement also there. Yeah, with this last picture of the graduates of 2019 at our partner university in Hangzhou, I would like to thank you for your attention, and yeah, I'm very happy to answer questions if there are, together with Nicola Gressner, of course. Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Gressner and Professor Kemper, thank you very much indeed for your presentation about the Technische Hochschule Lübeck, University of Applied Sciences Lübeck, and I would suggest that we take all questions at the end of the session, so we can connect things also. If you would like to hold on the questions that you have for the time being, I would like to switch over to the Hochschule Karlsruhe, the University of Applied Sciences in Karlsruhe. And if you would like to introduce yourself, and then the floor is yours with the presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Bergmeier, also for organizing this event. It's fantastic to see so many of you showing such an interest in our type of institution. My name is Joachim Lenbach. I have been the director of the international office of our university for 17 years now. In a previous life, I spent, amongst others, 5 years working and teaching in Hong Kong. So I have a very strong connection with your part of the world. The same is true for my colleague, Marie Wee, who can say a few words about herself. She has even more experience with than I have, including marrying. So you can say more about that.
Hello, I did not plan to talk about this, but hello from Germany also from me. My name is Marie Wee, and I work also at the Karlsruhe University of Applied Sciences in the international office. Here it is still the morning, so good morning from here and good afternoon to you. And also before I talk about my personal experience, I would also like to thank Herr Bergmeier and the entire team from the DAAD for inviting us. It's always very personal when we talk about exchange. I have actually lived in South Korea for a while. I had my second baby there. I lived for a long time in Southeast Asia, in Singapore. So I have a personal connection, and now I'm a project manager for our new internationalization project, turning our bachelor's degrees into international bachelor degrees. So this is also a DAAD project. I'm just talking about this because it is the goal of this project to further the internationalization of the university. Our university is already very international, but now we want to bring it to the next level. So we're very, very happy to talk to you about this today. And I will let Herr Lembach start with the introduction. Yeah, just so you know, I will talk later about the specifics when and if you want to apply to the university here.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's good.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so thanks again. I can skip quite a few of the things I would have said about the general nature of University of Applied Sciences, because my colleague from Lübeck has already said a great deal about this, so that makes it easy for me to focus on our institution. From the map, you can see that we are pretty much on the opposite corner of Germany, so you have the entire width of the country. We couldn't be much further away from Lübeck, I guess. So we're in the southwest corner of Germany. Again, we are a border state. We border the country of France. It's about 20 minutes from here to go to France. This is also very much our outlook in terms of internationalization. The second focus, I would say, is indeed on Southeast Asia, partly for personal reasons, but also because we have a great deal of very positive experience with countries such as Taiwan, South Korea, and also Japan. Okay, we are located in the state of Baden-Württemberg, which is probably together with Bavaria, the two southern states are the most prosperous and economically developed states in Germany. If you look at figures such as economic growth, unemployment rate, and so on, number of companies, headquarters, overall number of companies, the amount of money we spend on research and development. This is pretty high developed in the state of Baden-Württemberg, where we are located. The city of Karlsruhe is, I think, a very attractive place to study and work. I'm not going to read all of this, but it has been recognized by many places that this is indeed a very, very good place to study and to work. We are at the heart of the technology, the Karlsruhe technology region. These are some of the companies you will find in the immediate vicinity. Many big players that you will recognize: Siemens, Porsche, SAP, Mercedes, SEW, John Deere, Audi, and so on, you will probably know. Others are slightly smaller, but nevertheless quite often world market leaders in their field. Init, for example, transportation software. Ego, they do the right products, stuff you find in fridges and washing machines and so on, pretty much all over the world. This is the economic environment that we find ourselves in. Accordingly, the city of Karlsruhe is very much a university city. We have about 300,000 inhabitants, out of which 45,000 are students. It is nevertheless not a typical university city because virtually all of our institutions are, or many of them have a very strong focus on engineering and sciences. So we have the KIT, which is the biggest and one of the biggest and the oldest technical university in Karlsruhe in Germany, founded in 1827. They have about 25,000 students. Then you have HKA, ourselves, as one of the biggest universities of applied science in our state. So together we account for 32,000 students out of the 45. And we are essentially engineering and IT schools. The others are relatively small by comparison. But nevertheless, 10 institutions of higher education just in a city of 300,000 inhabitants. This is our main campus, just to give you an idea what it looks like. Very green at the moment. It's actually really nice and sunny. Students are sitting outside, again, under umbrellas like in Lübeck. This is a very nice day today, all over Germany. Some pictures that show you how what my colleague said that would more or less illustrate what we said earlier about the practical approach, the hands-on approach of our type of institution. You see students working on projects, building things together, developing things, discussing in small groups. This is very typical for our type of institution. We do fairly well in national rankings. We usually come out amongst the first top 5 or top 10 in any of the fields that are investigated usually. Few figures, our size, roughly just over 7,000 students. We're actually quite old. We were founded in 1878, but only became a University of Applied Sciences in 1971. There was this big reform movement. I guess that Lübeck also sort of came into being around that time. We have mostly bachelor's and master's programs, but also quite a few cooperative PhD programs. And within the next year, we will be allowed to have our own PhD programs. That is being sort of playing out as we speak. We have 6 faculties. As you can see, we are essentially a college of engineering. So we have the classic engineering disciplines: mechanical, civil, and electrical engineering. We also have the business and management courses. In addition, we have an information management and media faculty. And architecture is included in our civil engineering faculty. I'm not going into detail in terms of the programs. Just to mention a few that are worth mentioning. Here we have, for example, a trinational degree between France, Germany, and Switzerland, which has been very successful for almost 20 years now. Here we are developing a double degree program with Taiwan at the moment. In electrical engineering, we have a bachelor program, which is taught completely in English, in addition to a master program that is also taught in English. Here we have a geomatics program that is taught entirely in English in this faculty. Here we have a very interesting tricontinental master in global studies, which is taught together with a university in Taiwan, NCHU in Taichung, as one of the 3 partners that have developed this program together. Okay, our degrees are typically 7 semesters for the bachelor in the engineering subjects and another 3 semesters for the master. This is because we include a mandatory internship in the bachelor degree. That's what my colleague from Lübeck already mentioned as one of the features of our type of institution. Now, other features are, and I'm not going to repeat all of this, but just to highlight again, very, very small classes compared with research universities, a very good student-teacher ratio, very much hands-on. We mentioned already the integrated internships in industry. Everybody has to get 30 ECTS credits for 1 semester in industry, working on an engineering project, more or less independently. The final bachelor thesis is also conducted in industry, which means that a typical bachelor student, when graduating, will have spent a full year in industry. And this is completed by the fact that, as we said before, our professors all also come from industry. So in addition to a PhD, they also have a minimum of 3 years of professional experience. This is actually in the law of the state of Baden-Württemberg, and I guess in the other states as well. The research we do is applied research, essentially. We discussed about this earlier. These are our research institutes. I'm not going to read this out to you. We are a founding member of the HAW Tech Alliance of top or leading German University of Applied Sciences in all over Germany. As you can see, a nice network, basically spanning the entire center of Germany. What makes us international is, of course, the high number of partner universities that we have worldwide, the high degree of, or high number of international degree-seeking students, about 14%, which is well above average. 40% of our students go abroad for a study and internship semester. We have about 30 international double degree programs, double or even triple degree programs. We have English taught bachelor and master programs. We have our own foreign language institute where you can study, amongst others, German as a foreign language. Okay, just to show you our network of partners, and perhaps focusing on Southeast Asia. So in Japan, our partners are the University of Aizu and Kanagawa University that some of you may know. We have many, many partners in South Korea. Amongst them are Seoul Tech and Hanyang University. We have partners in mainland China and in Hong Kong. But the highest number of partners we probably have in Taiwan. This includes the NCHU that I mentioned before, with whom we have a triple degree program. And it includes the Thai Tech Alliance of Universities for Applied Sciences in Taiwan, which was actually founded, mirroring the Thai Tech, the Harvey Tech Alliance that we have in Germany. So they got together as an alliance in order to be able to work with us, essentially. And this has been very, very successful so far. Okay, my colleague mentioned that she would briefly talk about how to apply at HKA, so I give the virtual floor to Marie. Over to you.
Hello, thank you. I'm back. Yeah, as I was saying, we have this internationalization project going on because since we are regionally rooted on one side, but working with all the companies in the surrounding areas that are all internationally working, internationalization is very, very important for universities of applied sciences in Germany. I think the similar applies to Lübeck as well. We do this specifically with elements of introducing flexible mobility opportunities for students, welcoming students as exchange students from all over the world, but also inviting students to apply here full-time. We have a few English language degrees, and most of our degrees are German language degrees. So I would just briefly go into the process to apply if you want to apply a full degree here. I will, the link is posted on the next page where you can find more details, more defined, because you might have different language tests or similar. So the first, I think this is already the second page. Well, anyway, I'll start with this. So first, you need to think about what language, what degree what language your degree is in. So according to this, you have to provide language qualifications or proof of language qualifications. You'll find more details for that. And then you will have to see what kind of university entrance qualifications you have. So there is a big difference between EU country and non-EU country. As I see, you are all from outside of the EU. It might be a difference if you have a German citizenship, but this is very specific. So as a non-EU country in Baden-Württemberg, in our state of Germany, you have to apply via the Studienkolleg Konstanz, and they will check if you have the necessary if you fulfill the necessary requirements. Otherwise, you might have to do a year in Konstanz. You will be able to also improve your German language skills, and then you can come and study with us. There's a difference for European schools, for international baccalaureate diplomas, Abi-Bac, or the German Abitur if you're in a German school. If you have that, you can just apply online, and we will check your qualifications internally. If you want to study for a master's degree, you will have to have studied a bachelor's degree in a related subject before, and you will also have to provide language proficiency proofs. Okay, so then the next page for the language proficiencies, this is just a general idea because it is a bit specific depending on what you want to study. For German language degrees, you have to provide a C1 level. And for English language degrees, for the bachelor, you have to have an A1 German level. For the English master's degree, there is no such thing, but I would strongly recommend to start studying a bit of German just for the day-to-day business you will have to do here, just to go shopping or similar. So my recommendation would be to really study German as much as you can, and you would also have to study English accordingly. There is a link here, sprachnachweis.de, where you can see what is the equivalent, because we also accept other tests. In Baden-Württemberg, there are fees. So there are the normal administrative costs that also study student union fees and others. It's roughly 165 euro per semester. There are 2 semesters in a year. And we also have tuition fees for students from non-EU countries. And currently, this is 1,500 euro. If you want more information about the cost of living or financing options, please do visit our website. We have quite a lot of information about this, so you can prepare as well as possible. For more information or questions, we're looking forward to them, and you can always contact us also after the presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I think that's it for Karlsruhe for the time being.
Very nice. Thank you very much for your input. And now we are in the last phase of our online event here, and that is the FAQ section. Do you have any questions to anyone presenting here? We will try and answer all your questions in English, or you can also write them in the chat and we will answer them in Korean, Chinese, and Japanese, respectively. Someone has to make the first step. That is true.
Actually, if there's no questions yet, maybe the people need a little time to think about what the questions are. I would like to ask the two university representatives of the two universities, if you could give any tips to your aspiring applicants. What do you really have to pay attention to when applying for your university? What is common mistakes, especially students from Asia make, or things to avoid when applying? Maybe we can start out with Miss Wee, or
I just mentioned this. I think it is important to be sure to have a minimum level of language, and I am actually referring specifically, I'm just talking about the day-to-day process. I'm talking about specifically trying to speak it as much as possible. It doesn't really matter if it's not correct, if the grammar is not correct, but it's very important to go out there and try, because people here, like everywhere, will be very happy to see that you're trying it, and it will help you improve your oral skills. So that would be my first tip to you.
also any tip from University of Lübeck, maybe Miss Kressner or Mr. Kemper?
I'm completely with Marie Wee. I'm with you. The language skills are just the most important one. And I think many students think, well, German, this is quite too complicated. That's why I can't decide for Germany. But this is a big mistake, of course. You will manage it, but you need a slight start and a slight basis of German, even if the rest of the studies will be done in English. And of course, we will help you for that. For us, it's important to let you know that it's possible to start studies either in the winter term or in the summer term. It's not only that it's once a year, but I think it will be the same situation in Karlsruhe, I suppose. And this is also interesting to know. And then there are different possibilities to come to Germany. Either you choose a program. For example, our university has programs and then you pay for the service you receive, or you come as a free mover. This is an individual decision that you say, well, I go alone, not in the framework of a program. And then you get in touch with the university. And I think all admission offices and international offices will help you with your application.
Wir haben Fragen im Chatting Room.
Also ich sehe, Utaguchi, wenn ich das richtig ausspreche, can international students easily get a room of the student dormitory, or is it difficult? Wer möchte hierauf antworten?
Our place, exchange students would always get a place in the Hall of Residence. For international degree-seeking students, there is no automatic right to get a place, but it is quite, the likelihood is fairly good. I mean, it's at the moment it's difficult everywhere in Germany to find a room because we just don't have enough. Not many cities with too many apartments, I would say, generally speaking. So it'll always be a little difficult, but you will get a lot of help, and we haven't had anybody sleeping under a bridge, let's put it like that. So far it's always been okay. It's always worked out fine.
Since this is a very important question, maybe the UASU Lübeck also.
Well, in Lübeck, the situation is well, with the room, it's not so easy, I have to admit, and it's a little bit different compared, for example, to some Asian universities, where each university has its own dormitories. This is not the situation. We have the so-called Studentenwerken union of all universities in each country of Germany. So in Baden-Württemberg, probably there's a Studentenwerk also in Schleswig-Holstein, the area where we are living in, and they have dorms and you can apply there. But it's not like this, that our university owns its own dormitories. So this is something to understand. We help and we assist to find a room, but we need to do this in cooperation in a way. We cannot offer you, together with your study place here at our university, also a room. This is unfortunately not possible. Me personally, I'm dreaming of that, but well, we are working on that.
Right. Then we have a question by Naoko Ban. Again, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it right, with a rather specific point here. If I am to study in Karlsruhe, would French also be useful due to the proximity to that nation?
May I jump in, Helena? I am half French, so obviously I would say definitely you have to speak French. Yeah, it would be definitely useful. That is absolutely the case. It is not necessary. So it's a nice to have, and it's very, very convenient from here to go to France. We are, Helena said it, 20 minutes from the border. We have a high-speed train right to Paris, so it's 2.5 hours. It is definitely helpful, as in Germany, but even maybe it's more so, it's definitely helpful to speak French if you go to France, but it's not a prerequisite. We do have, however, a lot of German-French degrees. So if you want to do one of those, you would have to speak a good level of French.
Very good. And then we have a very important question, big trend in East Asia on the whole, I think. IB, International Baccalaureate Diploma holder, Kim Min Jae is asking, application to the university. Can I apply to university directly with an IB diploma?
Wir haben andere Fragen auf Japanisch, oder?
Ja, das habe ich gesehen. Das beantwortet ja Kuroshima, ich glaube, im Chat direkt.
Ja, meine Kollegin
I've answered that question about the IB diploma already in the chat. So here you can apply directly. You have however, to check your language level proficiency. I don't know how it is for Lübeck.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Perfect.
No, it's
Yeah, Jen, Lübeck, would you like to say something about it?
Yes, no, I just wanted to add, of course, you have to give us a proof of your language skills, and then we will check it whether, yeah, it fulfills the requirements. But I think there's still one question we have not answered in the chat, and perhaps, I don't know, my colleague, Professor Kemper, could give any. There was one question about the internships, I think.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
going
We do not miss it.
chronologically.
So maybe I can add something more general first, because at the beginning there was a question, what could be possible mistakes, or what should we be aware of if we decide to go to Germany for a study program. From my perspective, as we already heard here, there are a lot of people who like to support. So if you come to Germany, then the establishment, the initial phase will be supported definitely. But with respect to the study program itself, I think everybody should also be aware that in Germany, we expect that the students study by themselves. So studying is different from learning at school in our country. That's why we also have a different wording here. So I know in China, for example, there is no difference in wording, but in Germany there is. And that's for a good reason, because studying means that the students, they are working in the topics by themselves, they clarify the things, they go into the details, they make clear the theory. And if there are remaining questions, of course, this can be discussed. But we also hope that the students discuss with themselves, yeah, and then in groups with the professors, of course. Yeah, so it is a process. But we believe that the biggest advantage in learning is if you find out by yourself. And the universities, they are there to support this finding and to support this way. So this is a difference in education. But we believe that at the end, you really make a lot of benefits by that process, because then later on you are able to learn new topics just by yourself without the university. So this is a skill that will support you all your lifetime and all your professional career. And that's the same with respect to the internships. I haven't seen the question now in detail. I haven't the chat open, but with respect to the internships in general, so the companies, they also expect somehow that the students which are coming, that they are self-confident enough to ask questions about how to do specific things here, or if they have other ideas, to express that by themselves. So we also want critical discussion, yeah, about technical topics, about all the topics. So if somebody has an idea, it doesn't matter whether he or she is a student and the other is higher in ranking. Yeah, we just like to communicate about it. And then we decide what's the best opportunity and which way to go together. So we do not have this strict hierarchy, I would say. And this is a bit different compared to Asian systems, and it might be a bit uncommon if you are not experienced with that way of living. And yeah, I think that should be something what you should be aware about. That's what we call freedom somehow, yeah, and how we interpret that. Yeah, and the companies they offer a surrounding where they expect something from the students. They really want to have the input from the students, the engagement into projects, that they like to work, that they like what they are doing. That's something that we really want to see. Motivation. Yeah, students should be motivated to reach a goal or finish a project with a good solution. And on the other hand, the companies, they will also offer their way of understanding technical topics, yeah, how they interpret engineering practice, let's say. And that's really beneficial from both sides, from my perspective. But everybody needs to be open for that.
All right. General questions about, sorry, Mr. Lember, please.
Yeah, just basically want to echo that. I think the internship is possibly the most important element of our education compared with the research universities. And it's also the one that is, from my perspective, most attractive to international students. Because this is what, in our experience, what students really want. We have many exchange students who come here just for one semester, and then they find out, once they're here, that they could do an internship. And about half of them just stay for another semester because they realize how attractive it is to do a paid, and this is paid we're talking about. We're talking a paid internship, sometimes up to €1,000, sometimes even more in our part. We're talking about a paid internship that is based on a project, on an engineering, typically on an engineering project. It is not an internship like in many countries where you get to, you start doing some copying and then you make coffee and you get go through different departments. This is not our idea of an internship. It's a project-based engineering internship based on the assumption that after 4 years of 4 semesters of studying, you know your stuff. You're almost a fully fledged engineer. You can almost work independently. That's very much the idea. And you can imagine how much you can learn from that and how much that can mean for your CV. So this is, I cannot not emphasize this enough. It's possibly the most important part. But as Professor Kemper said, it requires a great deal of independence and initiative. You have to find your own internship. We don't provide internships as a university. I'm sure it's the same in Lübeck. We help you. We have a career center and so on. They have addresses and database and everything. They do interview training, but they do not provide internships. And that is the first big learning experience, finding an internship. And then doing it, and it's extremely rewarding, I can tell you, doing a successful internship. And you almost certainly to be offered a position later. That is the other thing. You have a job waiting for you if you do well in the internship. That's a job waiting for you. And of course, to answer that question, we prepare students. We have seminars where we prepare students for the internship. They actually get 3 credits in preparation. They get another 6 credits reporting on the internship. So this is very much part of the education. We have internship offices in each faculty. We have professors who help you find internships. And of course, the topic has to be agreed on by a professor, and it is supervised by a professor. So you're not on your own. You have the academic support from your institution.
Okay, there is are general questions about, or rather specific questions about the level of language. We have talked about it in more general terms. Is there anything to say more specific about what your language level thresholds are in your respective universities for, or does it differ from course to course?
I think we showed this earlier on the slides, and if it's an English course, you need very good English. If it's a German course, you need very good German. That's all there is to say.
But what is good English and what is good German? That I think is the question.
I think we showed it earlier. For German, it means C1 according to the European Framework of Reference.
Mm-hmm.
English is various certain points on TOEFL and so on, but it's the equivalent of C1.
Mm-hmm.
That is the language of instruction, and you need to be good at it. The more interesting point is how much German do you need when you study in English. I think that is probably more interesting. But of course, for an academic degree, you need a high level of the language of instruction.
A good general guideline when it comes to IELTS scores is always 6.5. This is what a lot of institutions ask for, 6.5, 7 in that area if you translate it into IELTS scores. Then we have another question that is related to finding a job in Germany after graduation and what is the rate. DAAD doesn't count the rate of graduates from that are successfully finding a job after graduation, but I think you do have your own experiences, maybe. Maybe you can comment on this point.
Well, I can start. We don't have proper statistics, but what I can tell you, if you graduate with an engineering degree from our institution, there will be many jobs waiting for you. Certainly in our part of Germany. I can't talk about Lübeck and so on, but I would assume it's quite similar. But if you study something like electric engineering, mechanical, they're just desperate for graduates. I can't put it in any different way. We do not produce enough graduates certainly in Baden-Württemberg. And to give you an idea, the starting salary might be 55,000 euros in that vicinity for a starting position for a bachelor degree in electrical engineering, just to give you an idea. There are many jobs waiting. The salary would be even better in IT, of course. But just that example of electric, where there's a very high shortage certainly in our region.
Mm-hmm.
You will find a job. I can guarantee you that with an engineering degree, you will find a job within weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the same from Lübeck perspective as well. That's a very general German topic. So the industry has very high demand for engineers, and all the universities that we are talking here, there is no big difference. I would like to highlight that also again, because I know from my experience in China, there is very much concern about ratings, and I need a specific university. In Germany, we really, in these public universities, they are all good universities. Maybe we can just distinguish between good and very good, but they are really all on top of engineering education. I really want to highlight that. And it doesn't matter whether it's a research university or it's a university of applied sciences. With respect to the market needs, each successful graduate is very welcome for the German industry and economy. We do not have unemployment in engineering. And that's why I also said we have this interaction between industry and universities. So that's why we are all on one level, more or less. Of course, there are more specific fields at the university. So if you have special interests, then the one might be a better choice for you than another one. That's no question. But in general, with respect to the quality, all high quality.
Mm-hmm. Josef, I'm seeing your hand.
Yes. I hope I have a lot of background noise now. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Fine.
Okay. So I remember some older statistics talking about employability of graduates in Germany. And according to that set of statistics, graduates from universities of applied sciences, so universities like Lübeck University or Karlsruhe, University of Applied Sciences, do actually have the highest employability. I don't want to exactly quote the date of the statistic because that's like almost 10 years ago. It's old data, but basically it meant, especially in the engineering field, graduates from University of Applied Sciences within 3 months almost always will be able to find a job position in Germany. So you have a very, very good prospect when you are addressing labor markets. If you are a graduate from university.
And that's not because we are a better institution, it's because we focus on the subjects where there's the highest need. I mean, our type of institution typically focuses on engineering subjects or business management. This is where the needs are. We don't have archaeology and history, where it might be a little more difficult if you don't want to become a teacher to find a job. We just don't have that kind of subject. The subjects we have are all, I mean, we have those subjects because they are needed by industry. That's our reason for being. Yeah, we have industry on our boards to tell us, not to tell us what to teach, but to advise us where there are needs and where there are niches and where we might have to set up a new program because they just need people that they cannot find. So that is how we operate. So of course we are successful when it comes to our students finding jobs. That is not a surprise. It doesn't mean we're a better institution than research universities. It's just we have a different portfolio of courses, I would say. Yeah.
We have an interesting general question. It's formally about a PhD position. Someone looking for a PhD position, there's no open position. It's a cultural question, really. Is it okay for me to send an email asking for it? Is it considered impolite in Germany? Maybe I can take this. I think it's always worthwhile asking. I think Germany pretty much operates on the principle, if you don't ask, you don't get. But of course, you should do it in a polite manner, and you should also be to the point, so that, anyone whom you're writing this email to can directly, straightforwardly asking. Bear in mind, however, that you won't be the only one asking about an open PhD position, and there are many people who are writing this email. This is something to consider. Germany has this reputation of being direct, that is truth, but a good dose of politeness always helps. Professor Kemper.
Maybe I can add a comment with respect to PhDs, because I'm also connected to a research university, Aachen University, and of course there is a lot of interest in doing PhDs. We know that also from the international market, but I think with respect to PhDs in engineering, we first need to have in mind that normally this needs also a prior education in Germany, because there is such a lot of competition for these kind of positions. And that's why normally those students have better chances which have already been established in this system. So that's, especially in my surrounding, that's mostly the case. PhD students mostly have worked before as studental interns at the research facilities. So an employment for PhD engineering from abroad is maybe not too realistic, I would say. In special fields with special experience, if you're really an expert in something, maybe this might look different, but yeah, that's my experience for engineering.
It also depends if there is a scholarship involved. If you're in the process of getting a DAAD scholarship, then that is something that you might try. But of course, Professor Kemper, you are from the respective field. Anyone would like to add something? We have a couple of questions in Japanese. So Naoko Ban again is asking, I'm currently studying abroad in the US, so how could the differences in the system affect application and overall application? Generally, degrees from the US, I think, should be recognized. There is a database called Anna Bin only available in German, unfortunately, which you can check if your institution is universally recognized in the system. Maybe that is a question that is especially meant for Mr. Lembach, since he heads the international office and is dealing with these questions on a daily basis.
So what is the question?
The question was how a degree from the US is recognized, bearing the differences in the system in mind.
Yeah, well, a degree from the US is a non-EU degree, so what it would apply what my colleague explained earlier. You cannot apply directly to us. You have to apply to the Studienkolleg Konstanz. They essentially have to validate your degree. They will look at it and say, is this person qualified to enter university or not? And they will have to look at it. What degree is it? We cannot make the decision even by law. We have to give that to the Studienkolleg in Konstanz. They will then say you can enter directly, or you need another year of Studienkolleg, another year of preparation before you can study.
I think the question was rather about a university degree in the US and not a school degree.
Well, that would then only apply to a master.
Mm.
And for master, of course, you can apply directly. If you're a bachelor from the US, you apply directly for master, of course. I'm sorry, I misunderstood that. But what I said earlier only applies to bachelor degrees, where we're not sure what the school leaving certificate is like, how much that's worth essentially, and whether that's 12 years or 13 years or sometimes 11. So these things are checked. But once you have a bachelor degree, you can, of course, apply for master directly.
Mm. I think we need to bear the time in mind a little bit, so maybe 2 or 3 more questions, and then we wind up the session. A major in Germany, is it very specific? Changing major is possible. Is that hard to do? Who would like to take this one?
Not entirely sure if I understand.
It was a question about changing the major.
Yeah.
Our system is quite open. You can change the major, of course, but it's quite likely that you need to start at semester 1. So it depends on what is acknowledged from your previous major. So if you switch to a totally different field, then you really need to restart. Our system is open. You could do. I do not know about funding requirements and these things, but the system allows for that. That's not a big deal, but it will cost time. But on the other hand, in Germany, we also would like to support having in mind, take your time for studying. And if you experience that you are doing the wrong study program for you, then it's really worth to switch and take this additional time. For us, it's not that important in Germany to finish in a specific time slot. I know if you're coming from abroad, there are a lot of boundary conditions that you have to keep in mind as well. But our students here, it's very normal that they study 2 semesters more than the regular study time. But that's worth it, because then during that time, maybe they make internships by themselves, they have a student employment and get other kinds of experiences. They are more self-confident afterwards. So for us, it's really worth to spend a bit more time for studying, because this is such a valuable time in the lifetime, in the period of the young people. And we would really like to support and recommend, take your time, you do it, and update your major if there is a need. Because afterwards there is a long time that you need to be happy with your choice of study program.
Okay, so I think we are taking a last question. Is there a great difference in the employment of German graduates and foreign non-white graduates? This is, you can say, a question about equal opportunities. I have already mentioned that the laws, the relevant laws in Germany have changed a lot. With a degree in Germany, you are entitled to an 18 months gap period in which you are allowed to work without limit, and you can look for a job in Germany. And if you find that job, normally a work permit is given. And I'm not denying that in Germany, like in other countries too, there may be instances of, unfair treatment, but this is something that can be addressed with the authorities also. Germany strives to provide equal opportunities to anyone applying for a job. The legal requirements are good. With a degree from Germany, you have those 18 months I've been talking about. There is no preference given to EU citizens or to German citizens when it comes to job opportunity, and generally Germany is committed to providing equal opportunities to anyone who are eligible to those opportunities by law. Okay, I think we have to wind up the session. I think we're all very happy with the degree of interest and with the questions which have revealed a very deep interest from your side. You are welcome to write to us with the specific questions. Do visit the DAAD sites just by Googling DAAD Seoul, DAAD Tokyo, DAAD Taipei. You may also write to the both universities of applied sciences that have commented here and presented here. We will answer all your questions after this session. I thank you very much for participating here, and thank you for your interest. Is there anything from the presenters, something you would like to add as a final word?
No, just to thank you for your interest and to say that it would be a good choice coming here to study, especially at the University of Applied Sciences. It is a good choice for foreign students. And to answer that question about, no, it was basically about discrimination and also possibly racism. We have about 30% of population in Karlsruhe with an immigration background. And if you apply for an engineering position, they will be very, very happy to consider your application, and they will not care where you come from. They will look at your qualification and they will be very, very happy to employ you. So you need not worry about these things. That's all I can say. I'm sure the same is true for my colleagues in the north.
Definitely, yes.
Patrick nodding, that is very good, great. So I think we're finishing on a good note here. Once again, okay, Josef, one last word here.
I was actually just clapping the hands.
Okay, perfect. Then I thank everyone for participating. I'm also clapping my hands for real, and see you in Germany. And do not hesitate to contact us in case of further questions. I wish you a very happy evening or a very happy rest of the day wherever you are. And thank you very much indeed, and have a great time.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.